Yeah, what's good, man? I go by the name of Sub1, represent Sharper Than Blaze Records. You know, that's my music company. We're right here in an undisclosed location in the city of Long Beach. You know, we about to drop some knowledge, drop some darts on what we about. I'm right here with the boy Guti, you know, and I want to give him a big shout out for this opportunity, you know what I'm saying? Well, pretty much like I said, you know, born and raised in Long Beach. We've been here, shit. I was born in 81, so I'm an 80s baby, you know, 90s kid. You know, a lot of people get that confused. You know, they think because they were born in the 90s, they were a 90s kid. Nah, we actually were out in the streets in the 90s. So, those that know about Long Beach, you know, it was pretty active back then, and I grew up in one of the most active sides of Long Beach, which was the West Side. A lot of gang activity out there, and from there we moved on to the East Side, North Side. We've been all over Long Beach pretty much, and pretty much now I'm blessed to be in one of the best parts of Long Beach, you know, for our children. That's what we all want to do, you know. But growing up in the West, I pretty much seen the gang life, seen what it was about, and you know I couldn't really relate to it. You know, I went to a place called John Muir Elementary, and those that are from Long Beach, you know, Long Beach is a very diverse city. There's many races, many cultures here, you know. So, you know, I had Samoan friends, I had white friends, I had black friends, Asian friends, you know, you name it. So, you know, when I was introduced to the gang culture, I couldn't understand why this person needed to be my enemy now. Like, I couldn't see that, and you know, so I never really was attracted to that life because of that. You know, I felt like, you know, why am I gonna all of a sudden turn on my friend because you tell me to? So, I mean, and not just that, I was always a rebel. I was rebellious with any form of authority. You know, you could ask my parents. I was always getting into trouble. You know, had sent to the office, principal's office, you name it. So I was always a rebel, and but yeah, I seen that, and not just that. You know, one of my uncles was into the gang culture, and I seen him became an addict and pretty much fucked up his life, and you know, from there I noticed, you know, his homies weren't around, nobody was helping him. I seen what my grandma was going through, you know, and I was just a little kid, and I seen this shit, and I noticed that, you know what, that's not the life I wanted. And you know, and bear in mind, we had all those dare fucking programs, you know, keep kids off drugs and gang violence, and but I didn't need that because I already witnessed it. So that was my upbringing, and from there, you know, you still form those street bonds. Though you have people around your neighborhood, your homies, your homie from across the street, and you know, and you're multiracial. So you're out here now, and you know, what can you do? So from there, we started graffiti. We got into the graffiti culture, and we seen, you know, how art was put on walls, and you know, it became something more than gang life or hating on someone. It was like, oh look what you could create, look what you could put up on a wall, and not even that, you could be political, you know, something like fuck the police, or you know, so that's how we started with the graffiti. It was always rebellion. It was always anti, you know, establishment. We just didn't know it yet. And then from there, you know, the older you get, the more you see. And that's why I'm big on unity. And I'm big on bringing people together. Because, you know, my first real taste of racism came from, you know, my own people. Because they were like, oh, you think you're black because you're listening to this kind of music. Or you think you're black because you dress a certain way. And I'm like, no, you know, like, this is just the environment I'm growing up on. This is what I'm seeing, you know, because you got to bear in mind, I grew up in the 90s, and we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have Facebook, Instagram, so we didn't know what the newest trend was. We just had what was around us. So that's why I talk, like, if you listen to it, it's in my voice. This is what I grew up around, and you know, a lot of people growing up were like, oh, you think you're this, you think you're that. I'm like, this is what we are, you know, not just me. But you know, the white homie across the street, and the Asian homie and the Samoan, we all talk the same way because we didn't see that. And so you know, you find these families within your communities, and then that's what became known as the crews. So we started our crews because we didn't want to join gangs. but we were still somebody and something in the streets. So you start your crews, and my crew was STB, which stood for Societies to Blame, Sharper Than Blades. There's so many names, and from there, we had our family and we had our pretty much our blueprint, and we put our stamp on our style, and you know not to sound big headed or anything, but I felt we brought a lot of that LA underground culture and that LA underground hip hop to Long Beach. Because, like I said, in the 90s, you didn't have access to it. Unless you were in the scene, unless you were part of the underground scene, you didn't know about it. You didn't know about Wu-Tang. You didn't know about these kind of groups, Beat Nuts, Dead Prez, but if you knew about it and you were going to those little $5 underground shows and seeing these fools, become somebody, you didn't know about that shit. So we were going out to LA and we would come back to Long Beach with all this shit in our head, like, fuck, like, that's realness. Like, so that's when I got into hip hop. And pretty much the message I got from hip hop is multicultural, just love and brotherhood. You had the B-boys, they weren't out here fighting, they were battling, Like, oh, you think you dope? All right, look what I got. And they'll come with their style. MC's the same. Like, you think you better? All right, they'll come with their shit and they'll battle. It was never violence, Violence never solved anything. So, and from there, you see that there's something bigger than that gang life or that anti-cultural, like, just because you black, I don't like you, or like, I'm brown, I can't talk to you. No, there was something totally out of that.
It's like that with the DJs too, and
yeah, exactly, DJs.
The graffiti, like,
the battling. Oh man, that was my life.
It
man.
was all love, though. You know what I'm saying?
And that was my life. It was the graffiti battles.
Yeah.
You would battle for takeout, like who had the best styles, and that was one thing. Like people get confused with that tag banging life, and then that graffiti life was different. It was those styles, like you wanted to be the best MC, you wanted to have the best lettering, the bombing, you wanted to catch that best spot that everyone's gonna see, catch them landmarks that ain't gonna get buffed. Like that's what we were about. And ever since then, not even that, but always growing up, we wanted to stand out regardless. We never wanted to be part of the crowd. So that was another thing. I didn't want to do what everybody was doing. I always wanted to be different. And not even that, it's just I felt that everything that everyone's doing is the wrong thing. So I was like, rather than complain about it, I'm gonna fucking change it and shit. And that's what I've been doing, and that's what I'll keep doing,
Fuck being followers.
Yeah.
But yeah, you reminded me, there's this book going around in my high school, just like a little book where everybody was just hitting it up, like.
Yeah, the black books.
Yeah.
The old school black books, and shout out to OG Husky Radio. They're throwing some event coming up soon. It's they call it Black Books and Rhyme Books. So that's what I love too about the graffiti culture. It just keeps going on and shit. And those that know about it, pass it on to the next generation, and the love keeps spreading, and the community keeps growing.
Right.
And it stays multiracial, There's nobody getting pushed away because of this or that. It's like, if you got love for the music, you got love for the people and the culture, then you're more than welcome to come and rock. And that's what I always liked about it. Like I was, and then let's go back to how I said, my people were like, oh, you're trying to be something you're not. These people came with open arms and were like, man, your style is dope. Like, I like what you're doing, man. Like, and then I rock with them and connect.
Yeah.
And you know what? And let's get to a thing called loyalty. And sometimes loyalty can hold you back, and it even goes to your own race. I'm sad to say, like, we're living at a time where you can no longer be like, I'm going to do it for my raza or my people, because sometimes they're the ones trying to hold you back. And
tell me about it.
Exactly. So, what I'm saying is, like, those people push you forward to keep going. And they tell you, like, man, you got something in you. And, like, these other people aren't telling you that. So, you pretty much just got to go to where you feel the love, you feel the energy that's right. So, from that, I was like, you know what? I'm digging what you're doing, And then from there, you network, and you connect, and you grow, and you build what's called a true family. you know, which is something that's built out of energy, and pretty much you're focused on one goal. It's uniting the people, man. And pretty much, you know, I mean, I'm saying, man, I'm a radical. I want to fight back, and you know, I don't know what you're about. You know, respect to your show and what you about, but that's what my main goal is that, like, we gotta fight back, pretty much. Yeah.